how do we feel about episode 9?
Grand. The end is approaching.
You mean episode 10 will be the last one?
As far as I see it now, yes.
And will there be any announcements maybe made?
I plan to, yes. Hi there, this is Ivory House. Welcome to the Ashes of the Moon series episode 9, where I'm talking to the spirit of the moon, which is basically my own voice pitched down, so I'm talking to myself because I'm Ward, a person of questionable mental condition. Here I'm going to talk about my brand new full-length studio album, The Ashes of the Moon. Oh wow, episode 9.
Episode 9.
It's been about 2 months since the show started, and I'm impressed by our consistency.
Me too. Do you consider the start of the Ashes of the Moon era to be the start of this show, or any other date?
I'd say, for me, personally, it all started much earlier. Like, the starting point for the albums for me is usually around the time I start recording the first song for the album.
And when was it with this album?
So I started making first demos for 10:43 p.m. around... Oh fuck.
Oh. Sorry?
Okay, let's skip this one, it was funny.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, so I was talking about 10:43 p.m. demos being first recorded in late June, which marks exactly 1 year, actually. So it was this time 1 year ago, I think, around that time.
So the era is officially 1 year old.
Yes, then we've had the first single drop in August, so I think the count should start around that time.
And as far as I understood, the first single was the first song you wrote for this album. And what was the order of the other songs to be written?
The second song that I started was The Unfortunate and Highly Unforeseeable Instead of a Day Before, which is coincidentally the second single from the album.
Does it mean the third single called Something to Die For came next?
And no, it didn't. Actually, the third song written for the project was Tea Over Coffee, and so I had to keep it in a vault for 6 months, I think.
But the next one must be Something to Die For.
Yeah, and this time it was. And non-surprisingly, the next song after that was the fourth single that we've had, called If Heaven and Earth Exist, It Must Be in a Supermarket. And this one was actually interesting, because it was the first time I tried to approach the music writing from a more, for lack of a better word, I should say mathematical point of view, because I had the entering bass ripped down, and the rest of the song was built around it purely according to the rules of harmony and mathematics, basically. And surprisingly, I loved such style of songwriting. I liked combining the artsy and the brainy, the geeky sides of me when writing a song. So the song actually helped me transform my approach to art in many ways, revolutionize.
And it was also met with acclaim from the public.
Yeah, right, so the experiment proved to be successful.
Okay, let's get back to the songs.
Oh yeah, then I wrote This Was Never Meant For You. And as for the last 2 songs, they were honestly completed in haste, because I wrote and mixed them in around 3 weeks, and it was just before sending the album to streaming. So although I could say that the Makeshift Mind was started just 2 days earlier than Trop Tard, so technically it was written first.
And they still sound on the level.
Oh, they do. It's all thanks to me working myself to death those weeks. I wish I had more time back then. And I even postponed the album release date a bit because initially I planned to release the album 1 week earlier, so the 26th of April instead of the 3rd of May. But with 2 songs being half cooked, I just decided not to rush things. Where am I? Well, I'm here. I decided not to rush things and just to release it 1 week later, but instead I decided to start this series 1 week earlier because, as far as you remember, we've started 1 week earlier than the album dropped. So yeah.
Well, but were there any songs that you wrote this year that didn't end up on the album?
And this one's for the next episode. So that will be it for today. Thank you for joining in for this week's episode. Join us, not the next week, but in a week. So, the 4th of July. Join us for the last episode of the Ashes of the Moon series with maybe an interesting announcement here and there in the last episode, but okay, let's just keep it for the next week. But as for today, that's it. Thank you and goodbye.
Ooh, I'm intrigued.
You better be.